Music. Yeah.
Milsurp Garage. Thought I'd do a video on what might commonly be found sitting in the corner of somebody's closet in this country. You know, they talk about all the guns in this country and they make it sound like every one of them is like a, an AR with a grenade launcher on it. But the truth of the matter is, most of these guns, I would think, are guns a lot like this. And these were just like your common, like everybody's granddad had one of these, shooting squirrels or something, or varmints, or bringing home a turkey for Thanksgiving, or I don't know, something, doing something crazy. It's not just, going out in the backyard and throwing some clays up in the air with a, manual thrower and shooting those. And Phil and I would just poke around and do some research on these two, just oddball. This is also something like in gun stores. You see these things leaned up against, leaned in the dark recesses of the shelving for like $35 or something like that, that these things get lost and forgotten. But guns like this can be pretty cool. So let's break them down. Let's take a look at this guy first. Let's see, and I got some notes here because I had to do some research on these because, the more obscure like this, the less you're going to find information. On here, I found some markings that showed it as Brazilian manufacture. Companhia Brasileira de Cartuchos. All right, now this company, some subsidiaries were Taurus, S&B, Cellular, and below, Magtech. Okay, so they had some connections there through the years. This company was founded by two Italian immigrants, Costabile and Giannicola Matarazzo. Right, two Italian guys in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, in 1926. All right, those are the guys that founded the company. So that was in 26. 10 years later, in 36, and that they founded the National Ammunition and Cartridge Factory. They were bought 10 years later by Remington and Imperial Chemical Industries, which I'm sure had something to do with gunpowder. And they were renamed the Brazilian Cartridge Company, and they've been privately owned since 1979. So that's an interesting history, but the bottom line is there's this importer, the Spesco Corporation in Atlanta, Georgia. In the 70s, they imported these in 12-20 and 410 gauge. This guy's a 410 gauge. They called it the Model 151. And I think later on, like more towards, I don't know if it was the 80s, the 90s, there's more modern ones that were imported by Magtech Recreational Products. I guess this Spesco importer kind of handed it off to them. The original retail in the 70s was $35, and these were sold in like Kmart, Woolco, Coleman, stores like that, those discount stores. So, no frills here, but they worked. That was the thing, and they have this interesting, just a button here, and this is plastic. The trigger guard and this button here are plastic. And that's what breaks it open. And interestingly, see, it has got a empty shell here, just to test how this thing doesn't really knock it out, but it hands it to you. Maybe if if this wasn't all wind out over here, maybe it would pop out. Maybe it's meant to. Maybe if that spring was a little stronger, but because that goes in there kind of tight, it might be that shell is spread apart from shooting. which I guess would be the same after you shot one, but does hand it to you. It looks like it wants to throw it out, but at least it hands it to you. That's pretty cool. Got this interesting design on the side. Model 151 here on the bottom. And here, I'll show you. Let's zoom in and take a look at what it actually says on here. Made in Brazil. Companhia Brasileira de Cartuchos. Sao Paulo. And on the top here, what do we got on the top? Let's swing it around. On the top here, we got Vespesco Corporation, Atlanta, Georgia. 410 gauge, 3-inch. Takes the 3-inch shells. Full choke. Proof tested in Brazil. They were proof testing them. And, you know, there's some spot rust on here. You know, you need that, what is that called? Carding? It would be good to do some carding on here. Carding is like, it's like that wheel that, well, first I guess you would steam this. If you wanted to really do a conservation on this guy, is a perfect example. This type of rust that you see here, that hasn't really taken hold. It's not like you don't sand this off. I'd love to do some kind of episode on that, but there's plenty of stuff out there on Mark Novak is excellent for that. You poke around on his videos there. You steam this. You put it in like a steam bath. You hang it in something where it's getting steamed for a few hours, and then it converts this type of rust to something else. And then you use a carding wheel, carding, and it's like it looks like a wire wheel, but it's so soft that spinning even at speed on a like a grind, a grinder, the thing that just sits on the table, spinning that fast, you could put your hand right in it; it wouldn't even hurt your hand. That it's such fine bristles. And they don't take off the bluing even. It just takes off that layer of the rust after it's converted. It kind of stops the rusting process and just makes it like a dust on top. And this thing is a perfect candidate. It would come out beautiful if you did that. But so that's this guy, a 20 gauge. I mean a 410 gauge. This thing would probably will probably last forever. And God knows how many of those are standing in people's, closets. And this guy, let's check out this guy. Don't have near as much information on this guy, but it's, looking into it actually turned me on to something pretty cool. This one, let's just take a look at what it says. This is all that it says right here. Sears single shot 20 gauge full choke. There's some gauging 70s too, maybe late 70s, early 80s. 2 3/4 inch and 3-inch shells, 20 gauge. There you go. Made in USA. These guys were not fooling around. Huh? Sears, Roebuck and Company. Number 101-510-670. That's important. It's cool that they put that number. Otherwise, it's very difficult to research these Sears guns because it doesn't say anything else anywhere on it. Anywhere. So, I started poking around to do a little research and came up with something pretty cool. There's a website, gundata.com. It's GUN-DATA.com. And they convert all of these Sears numbers like that, 101.510.670, translates to a Stevens 9748, which is exactly what this is. So Sears wouldn't Sears obviously doesn't have a gun plant, you know what I mean? What they would do is they would buy up Stevens 9748s, unmarked from Stevens, and put their own stampings on it. and sell it for, who knows, for less, for the same. I mean, who knows what they're selling it for, but it's the same gun. That's the thing. I don't think Sears made a single part. They would probably even require that Stevens, even if it said Stevens on the butt plate, they would require no Stevens markings like on anything, you know what I mean? And less rust, but a little bit of rust nonetheless, even on this guy. Seems like these things, they really rusted. Now this one, a little bit different. When we get the shell in here, boom! This one really shoots it out. It seems like the spring in there is a little bit stiffer. So that's what we got. Charlie in the background, alive and well, talking to you guys. And two generic stand in the corner shotguns that you forget all about until you need them. And they're there for you. And these are really what the Second Amendment is really all about. It's for everybody in this country to be able to defend themselves, and most of them would be using something quite like this, I would think. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.
Yes.